Hey everyone, what is up? You are watching Super Nintendo Collection Quest, the monthly video where I go over my recent Super Nintendo game pickups. I play through it a little bit and give my thoughts on it and see if it's a game I'd like to come back to. And you have a chance to win a free game for the system of your choice.
As a kid, I loved my NES, but when I got my Super Nintendo, that was it. Great graphics, sound, and gameplay, I was hooked. Some of my fondest gaming memories are from playing some of the greatest RPG, adventure, action platform, and multiplayer games on the SNES. It is my goal to own every North American Super Nintendo game released. So, follow me on my quest to Super Nintendo completion.
So this month I picked up number 606 in my collection, Eeek the Cat. Eeek the Cat was released in 1994. It's based off the 90s cartoon, featuring popular characters from the show. The entire game plays like one big escort mission, or like a single character version of Lemmings. Basically, you'll play as Eeek the Cat, and you'll need to escort various characters to the level exit while keeping them clear of dangerous obstacles. It's a very difficult, frustrating game. The main problem I have with this game is that you can't see far enough ahead to know which obstacles are coming up. This wouldn't be so bad, except that to make certain jumps, you'll need to run at maximum speed before you kick your opponent, otherwise they won't make the gap. The game will require perfect timing, careful planning, and the knowledge of what's coming up next. I stopped at stage 4 when the UFO levels begin. I just couldn't subject myself to any more torture of playing this game any longer. So why did they decide to go this direction with Eeek the Cat? It seems like an odd way to incorporate the characters. Everyone is just conveniently confused and need to be guided through the stages, almost as if they were sleepwalking. That's because this game was originally released as Sleepwalker on the Amiga. It's about a sleepwalking boy with a pet dog that keeps him away from danger. With the release on the Super Nintendo, they decided to take advantage of the Eeek the Cat licensing to help with sales. And that's great and all, but it just didn't really seem to fit as well as the original Sleepwalker theme. Number 607, Supercopa. Supercopa was developed by Sculptured Software and released in 1994. It wasn't released in the United States, but it was released in Latin countries, including Mexico, making it part of the North American Super Nintendo library. The game we got in the United States is Sidekick Soccer, with some minor differences. The team names were changed, text was either in English or removed altogether, and we had different sponsored advertisements during gameplay. Other than that, the game plays pretty much the same. You can play 1 or 2 players, and the game features some pretty decent Mode 7 effects. Supercopa was printed with 2 different label variants. Unfortunately, I have the label from the Brazil region, and it's a little beat up. I would have preferred the North American label with the guy getting kicked in the nuts, but when you refuse to spend anywhere near $100 for this game, you can't be too picky. Number 608, Street Fighter Alpha 2. Street Fighter Alpha 2 was released in 1996 in arcades, on PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and the Super Nintendo. As a fan of the Street Fighter series, it's a bit odd that this is my first time playing one of the games from the Alpha series. I think around the time when the Street Fighter Alpha games were released, I was heavily into new 3D fighters, games like Virtua Fighter, Tekken, and Soul Edge. I found that getting the hang of this game was a breeze, as I'm quite familiar with Capcom fighters. They all tend to share the same tight core gameplay, making each new game in this series very accessible to existing players. There are a few interesting things about Street Fighter Alpha 2 on the Super Nintendo though. The game uses a real-time sprite decompression chip. This allowed the developers to squeeze more than 32 megabits of storage on a single cartridge. This is the only North American game that used this chip. The only other Super Nintendo game that used this chip was released in Japan only, and that was Star Ocean, which eventually did get a North American release on the PSP. This is also one of the earlier cartridge games to experience some loading times. You'll notice a few seconds of loading before and after the fight announcement. This was apparently to send audio data to the sound processor. I haven't played the PlayStation or Saturn versions, but I would imagine the load times are a bit longer on those systems. Overall, first time playing Alpha 2, I enjoyed it. It plays just like a Street Fighter game should, and I appreciated the additional frames of animation over the older Super Nintendo Street Fighter games. Finally, number 609, Super Adventure Island 2.
Adventure Island 2.
Super Adventure Island 2 was released in 1995 and is one of many Adventure Island games in the series, yet it stands out as being one of the most unique. Most Adventure Island games are standard side-scrolling action platformers. Super Adventure Island 2, on the other hand, is more of an open exploration game, where you'll pick up artifacts which can be used to unlock new levels or new areas of previous levels. You'll collect coins for buying new equipment, or find new weapons, armor, shields, and life bottles to increase your maximum health. At any time, you can switch your gear to whatever best suits your current situation. Sometimes you might need a ranged attack, other times you might need a more powerful short-ranged attack. This game even features an overworld map. For some reason, I've always been drawn to Adventure Island games. Not sure if it's the art style or what, but this is the first Adventure Island game that I really enjoyed. The game does feature save data, so you can resume your progress, which is a good thing because it can be easy to get stuck in this game. Sometimes you'll find yourself not knowing where you need to go next, but it makes it just that much more rewarding when you do figure it out. Anyway, this is an excellent platform on the Super Nintendo. Definitely going to come back to it and finish it. Alright everyone, so that is pretty much it. I was only able to pick up 4 new games for my Super Nintendo collection this month, and although I was able to get a couple of the more rare titles like Supercopa, I got that really cheap, but of course in doing so I ended up getting like the Brazilian label and it's a little bit beat up. I would have rather had the North American label, but essentially the internals are exactly the same. So, and you know, there's already another game that was released in the United States under a different name, so I just couldn't justify spending eBay prices on that game. So I'm happy enough with what I got. And then the other sort of more rare game that I was able to get is Super Adventure Island 2. I really appreciate that this one's got save batteries this time. I don't know why, but I'm always drawn to these Adventure Island games, and I'll play them like, you know, a couple levels, and then I'll be like, okay, it's the standard platformer. But this one was actually really cool that it's like, you know, like open level exploration, and it's got the overworld map and the save data. Really like this one, so I'm glad I picked that up. Anyway, let's get on to the game giveaways. So this month's winner for the random free game for the system of your choice is Charlie Ocho. Congratulations. Send me a private message. Let me know which system you would like the random free game for, and let me know the address you'd like the game sent to, and I'll get that out right away. Now, to enter next month's game giveaway, all you have to do is be subscribed, so subscribe if you aren't already, like the video, and leave a comment below. The comment can be about anything. And then next month's video, I will pick a random winner. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.